Alright, hello everybody, welcome to this video. This is just something that kind of like blew my mind recently. So I've always had tight hips all my life, and I've really struggled to, even sit cross-legged. My back would always, every time I would sit cross-legged, my back would do this, my hips would be super tight, and it was always like, my legs would go numb within a few minutes. Trying to sit for meditation was just an absolute horror. Instead of trying to tune into my mind and regulate my system, was meditating on just like fighting the pains within my legs. And then I came across this video that talked about this way to release the tailbone, and it's a pretty simple maneuver. But within like 2-3 days, I'm not even kidding, even initially the first time I did it, and just imagine that there was like a gravitational weight in my tailbone as I was sitting on a chair, just a simple wooden chair. I'll show exactly how it works, but within the first time I did it, I just took like 15-20 minutes and really just dropped into the sensation and rocked. I felt a weird like shift throughout my like spine, and I actually felt something like different happen in my head, as if there was like a release in blood flow or a greater sense of safety. It was very strange. Nonetheless, out of nowhere, like my hips just like opened up tremendously. And don't get me wrong, not trying to like, but it's like this. I was sitting in meditation the last few days, and I was able to sit in a nice half lotus pretty comfortably, some tendencies still arising over, but like half an hour, like just nice neutral posture. I feel much better through my hips, and I can tell that my weight is actually sitting through my sit bones, which I was never able to sit through my sit bones. Instead of my hips being like out and like, actually receiving my bottom on the ground, they were wrapped inward and ever like this, and I couldn't like get the release. And I was sitting there like in a weird way. It's really hard to describe and show properly what the hips were doing, but they were so like locked in, and my glutes were always almost like engaged, and I just wasn't able to relax through my chain. So the exercise in and of itself is pretty simple. You're gonna have a chair, or I used the chair. You're gonna sit with your hips open, and well, first and foremost, sit on your tailbone. And for me, since my hips were so tight and everything was like kind of tailored in a certain way, it was really uncomfortable. I couldn't even like sit on my tailbone or on my sit bones, and they were very uneven, and still a little bit off, but like I'm talking within a few days already, it feels amazing. And I've just done it for like 3 days straight, for like 15 minutes. So sit on your tailbone, and it'll feel almost uncomfortable. Like, I'm a really skinny guy. I have no, cushion for the pushing. And it just like, it really, when I decided to just, allow the hips, so this is how they used to sit, and now like they're actually open like this. So initially you'll sit and you'll feel the pain in your sit bone, kind of at the bottom of your tailbone. You're gonna just wanna sit into a little bit, and don't egoically just try to get the legs as far as possible. What I found for the best results is just sit a little bit, open up your legs just a little bit, and then just rock really slowly on that tender point that you'll feel in your sit bone. And this is developing trust in your, I think it's like the sacrum, or like, I don't know, whatever the tiny tailbone is, the very bottom that you need for your root chakra. What happens is, what I've come to realize is, it gets stuck. And mine was stuck, and that's okay. But what happens when it's stuck is you don't feel very grounded. You don't feel safe. You don't feel like you can ever sit down and relax through your whole system. And I actually felt it. Specifically, it was my right side that was really weird. And I've always felt this weird sensation kind of through my leg and my lower back on my right side. And I could feel it release down my leg after doing this for some time too. And it was really strange. Out of nowhere, I went for a drive after, and like my entire hip just sat differently. And I'm just slowly rocking here. Slowly rocking. You're going to take your time. No ego. You're going to feel into the pain, and you're going to allow yourself, like I feel, safe. And allow your body to receive yourself as you are, where you are, and work with the gravity. Allow it to push down through your system, nice and gently. And after a bit, you can open up your legs a little bit wider, and you can play with it. And then, so initially your hips are going to be like rounded in, and you can round them out a little bit. And again, you're just rocking like that. And you can rock a little bit deeper. And then what I ended up doing is I'll rock kind of like deeper to where I'm like rocking on the underside in between, my butt and my private parts. And that's a part that personally, I've never waited. I've never trusted to allow myself to like kind of surrender and rock through that area. And there was just a bunch of like dense, tight myofascia. And it was, I was trying to move with a system that was always knotted or twisted in that area. And again, as you work with this, I recommend giving it a good 15-20 minutes. There's such a profound release that happens, and you find a greater sense of safety. I find that not to be a coincidence, considering it's tied to the root chakra. But let's see if I can, here, I'll set up for a good angle. Let's just sit and rock with me, because it really is profound. Again, open up, weight the tailbones, or the sit bones. It'll be a little weird at first, but you'll get used to it. And you can just sit and drop. And you go really slow, and you can kind of like, you can feel into one side or the other, and you'll feel it slowly open up. And this is the key. So you're gonna like almost let the bottom of your tailbone feel like it's like a lead weight pulling down and away, which is something I've never done. Mine was always, instead of down and away, mine was always tucked up and stuck like that. It never opened up. There was no motion, and you can breathe with it and feel with the breath the space being created there, the blood flow. Oh, that was one thing. You can tell it's stuck and you got it when you start to feel heat in your tail. You won't feel it every time. I haven't felt it today or yesterday, but the first time there was a very distinct heat that got released around my sacrum. Which basically just indicated that there was no blood flow that was flowing beforehand, and then it was flushed with like blood flow and nutrients and comfort and cradling. I can't express just like how much better my body feels already. And again, I'm talking 2-3 days, and there is an immediate release the first time when you do it right, but you have to go slow. You have to surrender. You have to work into the the intuitive request of your body and just go from there. So, yeah, that was just a quick little, because I've tried a lot of different things to try to loosen up my hips so I could do half lotus or full lotus, and move more beneficially. You know, I like to do some yoga, I like to rock climb in my free time, but I was never able to release my hamstrings. They were always tight. And now this has been the single-handed, like, most profound exercise that has released it immediately. Again, out of nowhere, not like bragging, but like out of nowhere, I'm able to, you know, there's still much to be done, but like a nice, comfortable half lotus. This was not feasible in any way, shape, or form, even a week ago. Like what? It was all tied to that tiny little bone, and there was a ton of and again, I like felt it rise up, release something even like here. Anyway, I recommend, I hope you're still rocking, because I know the first day I did it, it was a good 20 minutes rocking, and you can kind of like move into ebbs and flow in your lower back, where you go stand down like that. I don't know if you can see the motion, but I'm just going like this and this, and you're just gonna like feel into the sit bone. The discomfort that you may initially feel, depending on where your hips are at right now in this moment, is what you're gonna ease into. Any of the tension, that's just a little alarm of like, oh, for whatever reason, my body doesn't feel safe or trusting in this position. So you're gonna slow it down a little bit more. You're gonna breathe into it a little bit more. And in the matter of minutes, it will feel safe and you can feel held in that position. It surprised me. It genuinely surprised me how quickly my body was able to adapt, and my consciousness is like, oh, okay, I don't have to tense around this part of my sit bone in order to feel held or safe. I can relax into it. It was very unique. Anyway, I hope somebody out there takes something from this video and that they are able to find more comfort sitting every day.